Picture this. You haven't eaten in 2 days. You know where the herd is. You tracked them yesterday. You've got the whole route mapped out in your head. All you have to do is walk there. And then it starts raining. Not a light sprinkle. We're talking a heavy, brutal, sideways downpour that just won't quit. It rains all day, all night. Next morning, still going. So now you're stuck. You can't hunt. The mud swallowed every track. You can't even walk across rocky ground with wet, bare feet because one twisted ankle out here, and you're done. The river's rising. And your fire, the one thing keeping you warm, keeping wolves away, keeping you alive, it's starting to die. You're not bored, you're trapped. For most of human history, rain wasn't annoying. It was a life or death emergency. And honestly, what ancient humans did during those rainy days might matter more than anything they did on a sunny one. So today, we're going somewhere most history channels won't take you. Into the rainy days of the Stone Age. And if that sounds like your kind of journey, go ahead and hit subscribe. Tap that like button. It's the only way YouTube shows this to more curious minds like yours. Now, let's begin. Now, flip the script. Today, when it rains, you shut the window, pour yourself a coffee, grab a blanket, open Netflix. You melt into the couch, find that perfect spot, and just sink in. Rain is background noise. It's cozy. It's a nap soundtrack. You probably won't even finish the episode. But for a human 50,000 years ago, that same exact sound you're falling asleep to could kill them 3 different ways before it even stopped. Number 1, the cold. A wet human loses body heat up to 25 times faster than a dry one. No jacket, no waterproof tent, a long rainstorm in anything below 50 degrees, and your core temperature crashes into hypothermia territory within hours. And most of the world our ancestors lived in, it got that cold at night, even in Africa. Number 2, flooding. Caves and rock shelters were prime real estate. But guess what? They're usually at the bottom of hills or right next to rivers. So heavy rain meant flash floods. Archaeologists have literally dug up flood sediment layers inside caves people were living in. Some of those caves never got used again. You can guess why. Number 3, and this one's the worst, predators. Because rain drove animals into shelter too. And sometimes their shelter was your shelter. In South Africa, there are cave sites where human bones and big cat bones are stacked in the same layers. Some of those human skulls have puncture holes that match leopard teeth perfectly. So rain didn't just make life uncomfortable, it squeezed the whole world together. Humans, predators, prey, all crammed into the same small dry spots at the same time. And right in the middle of all that chaos, one job mattered more than anything: keeping the fire alive. Here's why that's terrifying. For most of human history, we don't even know if people could reliably start a fire from scratch. We've got evidence of controlled fire going back 400,000 years, maybe even a million. But controlling a fire that already exists and starting one from nothing, those are 2 totally different skills. So if your fire went out, you might not get it back. Some groups literally carried burning embers with them, wrapped in green leaves, or stuffed inside a special fungus that could smolder for hours. A biological lighter, basically. And when they found Ötzi the Iceman, that 5,300-year-old frozen guy in the Alps, he was carrying an entire fire kit on his belt. Tinder fungus, flint, iron pyrite, backup tinder. Even 5,000 years ago, losing your fire was such a nightmare that people packed dedicated survival gear to prevent it. So when the rain hit, fire came first. Move it deeper into the cave, shield it with hides, feed it carefully, not too much, not too little. Split open wet logs to get the dry wood inside. Use birch bark because birch literally has a chemical in it that burns even when wet. One person's entire job during a rainstorm: just sitting there, babysitting the flames for hours. Because that fire was everything. Warmth, light, safety, food, community. Letting it die wasn't careless. It was potentially fatal for the whole group. Okay, so the fire's going. You're dry-ish, but you can't leave. So what do you actually do? You make stuff. The archaeological record is loaded with proof of this. Caves are packed with piles of stone chips, little flakes that fly off when you're shaping tools, clustered exactly where someone would sit near the firelight and work for hours. But it's not just stone tools. At Blombos Cave in South Africa, they found a 100,000-year-old paint workshop. Seashells used as mixing bowls, ground-up ochre, bone tools for stirring. This wasn't survival. This was production. Someone sat there, rain hammering outside, making pigment, on purpose, with a system. Then there's bone needles, tiny, delicate, with hand-drilled eyes. You don't carve one of those while you're running from a lion. You make it sitting still, focused, with hours to burn. Rainy days gave people exactly that. And here's where it gets wild. At a Neanderthal site in France, they found the oldest piece of twisted plant fiber ever discovered. Basically, the world's first string. And in a German cave, a 35,000-year-old carved ivory tool with holes and grooves for twisting fibers into rope. A dedicated rope-making machine. Making rope is slow, repetitive, patient work. The perfect bad weather task. And rope changed everything. It let people tie things together, build shelters, set traps, attach spearheads to shafts. A huge chunk of human technology runs on string. And string was almost certainly invented by someone stuck inside, waiting for the rain to stop. They weren't just making tools either. They were making their caves feel like home. At Sibudu Cave in South Africa, archaeologists found 77,000-year-old bedding, actual sleeping mats made from grasses and reeds, topped with leaves from a plant that repels bugs. 77,000 years ago, humans were already doing pest control, and they'd periodically burn the old bedding and lay down fresh stuff. That's not survival, that's homemaking. But here's where the story takes a turn nobody expects, because all of that, tools, rope, bedding, that's the practical stuff. What came next is something else entirely: art. There's a cave in France with paintings that are 36,000 years old. Lions, horses, rhinos, drawn with skill that still blows people away. The artists understood muscle, movement, perspective. Some animals are drawn mid-stride, heads turning. These aren't scribbles. These are masterpieces. And here's the crazy part. These paintings aren't near the cave entrance where people sheltered. They're deep inside, hundreds of meters in, through tunnels you'd have to crawl through. Someone carried little animal fat lamps into total darkness and painted. Think about that. Nobody does that when the weather's good and the hunting's easy. You only do that when you can't go outside. When the rain has been falling for 2 days. When you've sharpened every tool you own. When there's nothing left to do but crawl into the dark and create something. And it goes deeper. Rain didn't just create art. It might have created culture itself. Think about it. Stick 20 people in a cave together for 3 days with nothing to do. What happens? You talk. You listen. You share. An anthropologist studied a modern hunter-gatherer group and found something fascinating. During the day, people talked about practical stuff, resources, complaints, work. But at night, around the fire, over 80% of conversations shifted to stories, songs, ceremonies. Firelight changed what people talked about. The campfire wasn't just warmth. It was the original social network. And the stuff shared around that fire wasn't small talk. It was survival knowledge. Where water hides in summer, which plants won't kill you, how to track certain animals. That's not gossip. That's a whole civilization being downloaded, brain to brain. Then came the stories, myths, explanations for why the rain falls. Every ancient culture on Earth has rain mythology, and somebody invented those stories, probably while sitting in the exact situation the story was trying to explain. And here's the plot twist nobody talks about. Rain wasn't always bad. After a heavy rain, the ground goes soft, perfect for tracking. You can see every footprint in HD. Some of the best hunting conditions on Earth happen right after a storm ends. Rain meant fresh water. Mushrooms exploded overnight. Tubers pulled out of soft soil like nothing. Termites swarmed after rain, one of the most protein-packed foods on the planet. Free food, just pick them up. So what did ancient humans do when it rained all day? Everything that mattered. They kept the fire alive. They carved the tools they'd hunt with. They stitched the clothes that'd get them through winter. They twisted the rope that held their world together. They painted animals on cave walls by lamplight. They told the stories that carried knowledge across generations. And when the rain finally stopped, they walked out into soft ground, covered in fresh tracks, and got back to work. Rain didn't slow them down. It gave them time. Time to prepare. Time to think. Time to create. Every tool, every piece of clothing, every painting, every story, all of it came from the downtime. From hours stuck near a fire with nothing to do but make something. Boredom didn't exist for them the way it does for you. Because when your survival depends on what your hands can build in the next few hours, you don't get bored. You get creative. And that might be the single biggest reason we're still here.